centuries, sailors have sung sea songs to help with the rigorous tasks of hauling cargo and the basic grueling life of being on board a ship. Sea songs and shanties are also a lot of fun to listen to, whether on board a ship or just relaxing, maybe with a beverage. Tomorrow night at the West End Cultural Centre, Winnipeg's Camerata Nova will join forces with the terrific Montreal-based ensemble La Nef in a really fun concert that will consist of sea songs and shanties. Regular listeners of Classic 107 will be familiar with the group La Nef. They are truly a marvelous ensemble whose music displays a wide range of repertoire consisting of early music, the music of oral traditions such as sea songs and sea shanties, world music, and contemporary approaches to musical creation. Joining me here in the Classic 107 studios is Camerata Nova conductor and singer Ross Brownlee and the curator of the concert, Seán Dagher from the group La Nef. Welcome to Winnipeg and welcome to our Classic 107 studios to you both.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
It's so great to have you here. So, first, Seán, when did you arrive here in Winnipeg?
I think we got here yesterday, is that right?
You did.
We got here.
Time flies. We're having such a good time.
We got here yesterday and we've just had a wonderful time. We've been wonderfully hosted by everyone at Camerata Nova, and it's such a pleasure to be here again.
Nice. And how much rehearsal time have you had with Camerata Nova so far?
We rehearsed last night for a few hours and we'll do it again tonight for a few hours, and then tomorrow in the day before the show when we're setting up the show. We'll rehearse again.
So far, how have the rehearsals been going?
It was great. It was really nice to hear. You know, I elaborated on the original arrangements to include the choral parts and hoped that it would sound good. So it was really nice for me to finally hear it live. Some of the stuff I've been working on for a year or more.
Wow. Okay, so I want to start with the concept of tomorrow night's concert. Ross and Seán, I know you guys are friends. First question is, when did you guys meet? Ross, when did you become aware?
You know, we met my very first teaching job. I was just fresh grad out of McGill in Montreal, and I got a job teaching at a school, Lindsay Place High School, and I taught with Seán's father. And he was an amazing wood craftsman, and he told me about his son who was a pretty good, he played all kinds of string instruments, and he was making his son, Seán, an instrument. We did, and little did I know we'd be in a radio studio some 20 years later making music together.
That's right. It seems like forever.
That's great. So who came up with the idea for the show? Seán, I know you've had the CD that's been out for a while now. Was it your idea to put this together with
Actually,
Ross,
I was looking at opportunities to tour the CD, and Matthew White from Early Music Vancouver invited us to come, but he said, wouldn't it be great to do a collaboration with a choir? So we're doing the same show in Vancouver next week with the 65-voice choir Corleone. And so then I immediately thought of Ross and Camerata Nova and said, hey, I'm doing choir arrangements. We're going to be coming through. We've got to do this on the same tour. And we are.
Amazing,
Yep.
Amazing. The concert tomorrow night just sounds like a lot of fun. Seán, what made you guys, La Nef, decide to record sea songs and sea shanties? You want to tell us the sort of backstory behind that?
Sure. Well, the flute player in this project, his name is Dave Gossage, and he lives and works in Montreal playing all kinds of wild flute notes, so many notes. And he's a real virtuoso. And he's also known as a producer of albums and of music of all different kinds. So he got hired by a video game company called Ubisoft that is based all over the world, but they have an office in Montreal, to make music for the Assassin's Creed video game series.
Awesome.
So he hired me and Nils and a couple of other singers, Nils Brown, who we just heard, to sing for a video game, Assassin's Creed 3, which took place during the American Revolution, and they were really trying to be as historical as possible. So we sang songs of American soldiers and British soldiers, and we played the tavern music. Apparently, I've never played the game, but apparently in the game when you can go into taverns and there's a band playing,
right,
and that's us as well. But we also sang songs of sailors, and so that was pretty popular, and Ubisoft had a plan to have sort of a sideline game with a few sea shanties, but the shanties were so popular in AC3 that they turned that into a whole other game, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag, and we recorded 53 sea shanties for Black Flag, and then they added another game on top of that called Rogue, where we recorded a further 35 shanties, and we started getting messages from all over the world People started putting up videos on YouTube of us singing, accompanying sort of with the video from the games. And I said, oh, this is interesting. We've got to do something with this. And when we recorded it originally for the video game, we weren't allowed to do anything interesting. We weren't allowed to do harmonies or whenever it sounded nice, Dave would sort of holler into our ears like, no, guys, you're pirates. It's got to be ugly,
Yeah.
So that was fun. But there was also beautiful repertoire, like the song we just heard there. I thought, geez, wouldn't it be nice to do something musical with this? So a couple of years later, or I don't know how long later, Lanef asked me for suggestions of shows that we could put together, and I said, I want to do the same music from Assassin's Creed with the same singers, but be able to do something nice with it.
I was listening to the disc this morning, and we've had it here at the station for about 18 months or so. It's such a great disc, but like you say, it's not only the music, but it's just a great snapshot of the time. This is music that you could just imagine yourself back in the 18th century, on board a ship. It's really great stuff.
It's so fun. I mean, it was fun doing it, sort of piratey, and it's still fun doing it a little bit more musically. You'll hear that we still keep it pretty piratey, and we still make sure that we're having a lot of fun with it.
And it's, one of the things that struck me about when I was listening to the CD, it sort of covers all aspects of being a sailor, the joyful aspect. I'm thinking here of One More Johnny, the song off the record, but also the sort of not so great things about being a sailor, like Storm Along John off the album. So there's this wide variety of characters on the disc, and this is music that's going to be heard tomorrow night, right?
That's right. Everything is going to be performed in the concert. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Can I jump in on that?
Sure.
As when we were working in preparation with Camerata Nova, I don't think we've ever had more joyful rehearsals ever. In this, we would work with the recording that Lanef had done, which is an unusual way to practice for an a cappella choir like Camerata Nova. But the pleasure and joy that all of us singers got from working with this music, and sometimes even sad, like this one that we just heard, so sad. Like when it's found out that this sailor's wife has died. I mean, it's really impactful when you're close there. So it's been a massive gamut of emotions, but an incredibly joy-filled experience preparing this.
Oh, wow. Seán, I want to ask about the arrangements. How did you come up with the sea shanties, and how did that process work?
Well, Dave Gossage, who was producing the sessions, he did an enormous amount of research work to come up with the, some 100 shanties that we sang. So it was easy for me. I just picked through the sort of dozen that I liked the best from the recording, and made a note of them as we went, and I chose those, and I did choose them to try and be varied, to try and reflect all the aspects. But I also asked the singers, which was your favorite from the game that you would like to include in the show. So that way I would make sure that they were doing something that they wanted to do, and we're necessarily going to put more into it. So that was how I came up with the repertoire. And then, arranging it again was seeing what kind of style of arrangement fit best for each one.
Right. And Ross, is it just the men of Camerata Nova that are performing the concert tomorrow night, or is it the whole group? Or
to the chagrin of the women, yes.
No woman on board. It brings bad luck.
Yeah.
We really talked about it, and I went to Seán for guidance on that, and I think it's absolutely the right choice. So yeah, it's tenors and basses, and some of us sing really high too. Right.
And so, Seán, you touched on this earlier. You changed arrangements, right? Like are there some tunes where the voices of Camerata Nova are just doubling up what the voices of Lanef are doing, or are there combinations?
It's a bit of everything. Yeah. So some songs I've added whole extra men's choir parts to. Some songs the Camerata Nova is joining in with our contingent of singers to beef it up. But some of it's all brand new.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and it was fun to put it into real life.
Last night.
This whole thing that each of us have been working on in different ways in different cities, and it really came to life last night. Really exciting.
Nice. And it's not just singing, right? There are instruments, and
that's right.
Like on the CD, there are instruments. Just strictly. Do you want to talk about some of the instruments that people are going to hear?
Sure. Well, there's double bass, which is the standard double bass. Dave Gossage, it's Bill Gossage playing double bass. And singing. Everyone sings. Even the people who are doing instruments also sing. So Bill Gossage sings and plays double bass. Dave Gossage plays flute. He plays a sort of 1910 flute, so it's not quite historical, but it is wood, but it has the modern key system, the modern Bohm system flute, and he plays tin whistle, and he plays a neat little thing called a bosun whistle, which you'll have to come to the show to see what that is. And then Nelson Carter plays violin as well as singing, and he's got this weird, strange shaped violin. It looks like a strange Baroque viol or Renaissance viol of some sort.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, and with a Baroque bow. So he plays fiddle, and then I play something called an Irish bouzouki or a cittern, which is sort of a mandolin family instrument which would have existed in the Renaissance. This is a modern version of it, though.
I've seen videos on YouTube of you playing this instrument. It's a beautiful sounding.
So I think, but that combination of instruments, it gives a familiar but somehow exotic soundscape, in which to place the voices.
Right. All right, and then. Okay, so the concert is Sea Songs and Shanties, and I'm going to sort of ask the obvious question. The concert's at the West End Cultural Center. Why did you choose that venue?
Well, the West End is just a classic.
Right.
And it's not one that Camerata Nova gets to use that often, because we're often doing Renaissance music or very new. We wanted somewhere relaxed. It's Sea Songs and Shanties. It just begs like a seaside pub, and they're pretty well equipped there. We may find that a tankard would be a positive addition to the concert. So we want for us to have fun on stage, and we want the audience to be able to be in the spirit for this.
Right. So it's not like your traditional concert where you're just sitting there and enjoying the music. You want the audience to have a beverage and just enjoy the songs and shanties.
We also invite them to sing along sometimes. We
better.
Teach them songs. We've had people come to our concerts from far field who just sing along sort of spontaneously their own volition. So that's the kind of environment that we want to create in our shows always.
Oh, it's just going to sound it sounds like just a fantastic show. Okay, I just want to thank you both for coming in and talking to us today. It's just been just so much fun. Before we leave it, can you, Seán, we're going to play a tune called Leave Her Johnny. Do you want to just maybe talk about this and set this up and talk about it a bit?
Sure. This is one of my favorites from the game, and it seems to be one of the favorites for a lot of people. And it's the story of getting to shore and finally getting to get off the boat and enjoy yourself, and all singing along about it. And in the meantime, talking about, there's funny verses about, how terrible the boat is and how terrible the captain is. But I don't know, there's a bit of affection for those terrible things at the same time in the song.
Oh, wow. Okay, here it is. This is Leave Her Johnny, performed by Seán Dagher and Linneff.